Imagine having it all, a successful career on Wall Street, only to have life flip the script with a brain aneurysm. For many, that would be the end of the story. But for Lady Abike Farley, that was just the beginning. In today's episode of This Woman Can, you'll hear how she turned her pain into power, built a movement to uplift Black women entrepreneurs, and redefined what success looks like after 50. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. You're listening to This Woman Can. I'm your host, Janice Sutherland, where I help mature professional Black women take charge of their careers and lives to create a future on their terms. Hey, and welcome back to This Woman Can, the podcast where we celebrate women navigating midlife transitions, embracing reinvention, and showing the world that life after 50 is just getting fabulous. I'm your host, Janice Sutherland, career strategist, mature Black woman. And today we have an incredible guest, Lady Abike Farley. And we talk about the importance of self-acceptance after 50, the power of community, the role of culture in reinvention, and why success isn't just about society's checklists. It's all about rewriting the rules for yourself. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to be inspired. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of This Woman Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, career strategist for the mature Black woman. And as always, I have another fabulous guest with me this week. Today we have the incredible Lady Abike Farley joining us. And she's the CEO of FPI Network LLC and the visionary founder of the hashtag 100 Women Strong movement, which we'll get into. Lady Farley is a true trailblazer in the realm of social entrepreneurship. With a unique blend of business savvy and an unwavering commitment to community empowerment, she has dedicated her career to inspiring and connecting and uplifting Black women entrepreneurs. Lady Farley's expertise in establishing LLCs has allowed her to help countless individuals build sustainable structures that create impactful change. Through her initiatives that foster Black entrepreneurship and provide strategic guidance for nonprofits, she has championed economic growth and social equity, earning her numerous accolades. Moreover, as a New York State vendor, the FPI network has successfully underwritten the 5 major continuing education programs for at-risk youth. Lady Farley's retirement plans changed when her journey took an unexpected turn as she faced a brain aneurysm, leading her into a new chapter of resilience and strength in 2022. Join us as we dive into Lady Farley's inspiring story and explore her mission to empower others. Welcome, Lady Farley.
Thank you so much, Janice, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I love this type of really fellowship, right?
Yes. So my apologies for stumbling over my words today, but I actually wanted to start off your name. It's an unusual. So tell me what's behind your name.
So my full name is 16 letters. It's Abike Minuet. That's my first name, not even my middle name. But you can imagine when people read that, they're like,
"What?"
Like I don't even try. So I decided that everyone who I know, they all call me Lady Farley because it's much easier than trying to get out Abike or even Minuet. But they're not Nigerian descent, but that's where my name comes from. But Lady Farley just seems so much more simpler.
And regal.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And regal. Though I do love Abike too.
Thank you. You're actually one of the few persons who've gotten that right. Most people call me a bikey or a bike, and I'm like, no. Yes.
No, that's fine. I think names are important, and I always strive to get it right. And if I don't know, I ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, lady, tell us about your journey and where you got to where you are today.
So I'm a firm believer that nothing is by happenstance, but I do believe that tragedies lead us really into a lot of our destinies. And we hate to look at it like that, because we want life to be, I think there's a saying that if you tell God your plans and he will laugh. right? 'Cause, you know, like life didn't go the way I thought it was going to
Yeah.
go. I thought after working on Wall Street for probably close to 18 years, and when I got my brain aneurysm, I thought that, well, my job will still be there because
Yeah.
I was in upper management. Like, of course my job is going to be
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
that was not the case. And as a woman of a certain age, let's say that,
Yes.
you know,
Yes. Yes.
and then to be a Black woman on top of that, you
Yeah. Yeah.
know, I found that I did have to reinvent the wheel. Like what I thought
Mm.
was supposed to work
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't going to work for me anymore. So I just gathered all of the things that I had done throughout my years, throughout my tenure on Wall Street, and throughout my whole life, my tenure as an executive director in a nonprofit. I decided to gather all of that, everything
Mm.
experience, and just pave my own way. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
And
that here.
And you know what I love about that is that so many of us forget how much experience and skills we have accumulated over our many decades, because we're all women of certain age, but we forget that those skills we've acquired, we often take them for granted. So, but when we're faced with a situation where we have to change, or where we're thinking of changing, sometimes we're a little scared because we think we're starting over, when in fact we have a bag of tricks that we have been dipping into for many, many years that will come to our aid. So lady, when you were faced with making that change, and you had to make that pivot, what do you think was one of the biggest challenges you faced doing that?
Well, honestly, convincing myself and believing in myself that at this age, although you're right, I didn't start over, but
Mm.
I could not figure out how was I going to fit into this world where it seems everything was anti women my age. So
Yeah, yeah,
as a woman, I had to fight, we all know that the financial industry, it was a man's game. Fair,
yes,
it's
yeah.
a fair thing to say that. And then I'm like, okay, as a Black woman, then I had to fight
Mm,
there. And now
mm,
here I am in my mid 50s saying, listen, I'm an asset to your company. I can be an asset to your corporation. Look at my experience. But
yeah.
then having to convince myself that just because I couldn't wear my 4-inch stilettos. Like I spent a year in a wheelchair after my brain injury, so I couldn't go back into my heels.
Yeah,
So I had to convince myself, really remind myself that although I'm not in high heels and I'm not walking around in a little skirt and a blazer, that I
yeah,
am more than those things. I
yes, yeah,
some all of the beautiful things that God made me. But
yeah,
when you're in the workforce, we're so convinced that our outer appearance is so much of who we are, and our what makes us an asset, that we
yeah,
need to be retrained. And I had to retrain myself in that area.
yeah, fabulous. And know that you can still stand tall without your 4-inch heels and be more comfortable.
Indeed. Indeed.
But I like what you said there about the fact that we have to, I suppose, get to know ourselves again and separate identities, because I think society's probably done a number on us and saying that, tying our worth, our identity into the roles we have, the jobs we do, the careers we have. So lady, how did you divorce, for want of a better word, yourself from that? How did you reclaim your identity, for want of a better word term?
By force and by fire, because it was not easy. I had developed relationships, long standing relationships, as you would imagine, working anywhere for over 15 years, you develop
Yeah,
relationships.
yeah,
But I thought that the same way they received me, other people would receive me the same way. When I found that it wasn't so, I just refused to give up. I just kept going until, like you said, I was standing tall in my Skechers, standing
yeah,
tall with my briefcase under my hand, and now maybe a baggy dress because those slim skirts don't fit anymore. But
yeah,
it took me to keep going, falling, getting back up,
yeah,
going. listening and learning that a no is just temporary. It's not
Yeah.
permanent.
Yeah. Fabulous. I like that. No is temporary. I like that. So just changing tact a little bit, how do you think your identity as a Black woman has shaped your journey, especially in midlife and beyond?
Wow, that's a loaded question because there's, as an Nigerian American,
Yeah.
like my perspective is different, and
Yeah.
there's a constant battle. We like to, I don't know why we like to divide ourselves up so much,
Yeah.
but there's a constant battle and having to be American enough, Nigerian enough, and then having to be human enough to fit in societies where normally, women like us, Black women who are
Yeah.
not, they're not registered as, qualified, as experienced
Mm,
or professional or as educated. But
mm,
it took a lot of convincing people that first and foremost, the only thing that matters is the human spirit that we carry. So
mm.
it doesn't matter what I look like. I could be wealthy, I could be poor, I could be white, I could be Black, I could be young and I could be old. But if I don't have a good intent, if I don't have a spirit that's full of light, what good does my interaction do with anyone anywhere in the world?
Yeah. And how has community, especially you were going through and you're making the change and the transition, how has community, whether personal or professional, played a role in your journey?
I needed my community more than I realized. It wasn't until really after the brain injury, I already had a network of women that, we were working together, but I began to leverage it after my aneurysm and lean on them a little more. It was actually during the time of my brain aneurysm that we developed what we call the legacy department of my network for women who are mature like us, because I didn't
Yeah.
realize that although my sisters were 30 and in their 40s and they were Black, they couldn't understand, like, I really want to rip my shirt off in the middle of this meeting because I'm having a hot flash and someone's annoying the life out of me and I need support. It took
Uh,
all of the women in my network to come together and say, listen, like some of the women who are a little more mature than myself, they're like, I've been your friend for years. You didn't know about hot flashes. You should have asked
yeah.
me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I never knew I would get to this place, but
Yeah. Yeah.
unity
Yeah.
has everything to me.
Yeah. And I think for our, I suppose I'd say our generation, because our mothers never really spoke about it because it was all very hush hush. So so I think we're one of the probably one of the first, probably maybe a generation to really be quite open about the fact,
Mhm.
yeah, I've got menopause, but it doesn't make me any less, and I'm still bloody brilliant. So so yeah, so I totally understand. And sometimes, those when you're 40 to when you're 50 plus or wherever, there's a whole difference. Those 10 years make a big difference. Doesn't sound like much, but there is a little bit of a chasm, in our experiences.
It is. I'm different as 55 years old. I'm
Yeah.
so more different than when I was 50.
Yeah.
So
And I'm 60. So, that's another, so that's again.
wish you could rub some of that on me. I want to look that good.
Oh, you look fabulous, girl. Don't worry about it.
Thank
Don't
you.
worry about it. So you said you're Nigerian American. So I think this question's probably quite apt. So, how has cultural traditions or values guided your reinvention journey? That change, that transition.
It played a pivotal role in it, actually, because my mindset is always a little different. And I think that whether you are wherever you're from, if you're in this country, your mindset, your parents, they raise you with, their background. So you
Yes.
could
Yeah.
be, West Indian, Native American,
Yeah.
which, Dominican, whatever it is,
Yeah.
there's something about the way our parents raised us. We don't absolutely think like Americans, but the one thing that I can be very grateful is that in my African heritage, I'm taught to depend on my sisters and my brothers, to not no
Yeah.
man island. So
Yeah.
that got me through a lot of times when I felt like, oh, I'm going to throw in a towel. And then I said, no, let me reach out to someone. So that
Yeah.
played a big part of it.
Fantastic. And you talked about there being a difference, now you're in your 50s, your mid 50s and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But what do you think has been the most surprising thing about stepping into your power after 50? Because I truly believe it's a whole different realm. And wait till you hit the 60. Ooh, that gets even better.
I can't wait. I can't wait because I feel like, and I just from speaking with some of my friends who are in their 50s, they pretty much say the same thing. Like, you think you know power, you think you know strength until you hit like that 51, 52 mark where you're like, I don't care what comes or goes.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I can do this. And I
Yeah.
that was true. And I look back on myself, I look at pictures when I was younger and I thought, oh, at that time I was like, oh, I'm so fat. I wanted to change. I wanted a nose job. Everything, like, I wanted to change. And I'm like, I would do anything to go back to that girl right there. But the wisdom, I think it's wisdom. That's the thing about living. We acquire
Mm,
a lot of things, but if we can just hold on to the wisdom portion,
yeah.
we'll get through.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So, do you think that women over 50, black women over 50 now are redefining success? And if so, how?
I think that Black women over 50, I think that we should be, if you look up success in a dictionary, you can see a Black woman who's in her 50s,
Yeah.
because Black women we're us in our 50s, we are, like I said, we know that I don't care what comes or go.
Mm,
We've gotten this far, and we trust that, we're going to make it the rest of the way, is
yeah.
something, that confidence. But honestly, I know for a fact that we are in the lead. And I always say, if I had a me in my
Yeah.
life back then, if I had a woman like me back
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
I would probably be running the world. Like,
Yeah.
it would be Trump, Elon Musk, and it would be Lady Farley right there. If I me in my life. But now I think that, to the benefit of us all,
Yeah.
any woman can reach out to a more mature woman,
Yeah.
and we give.
Yeah.
Yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
from your experience, we will give. We don't have a
Yeah.
problem with giving and pulling up and helping someone.
Yeah.
That's who the Black women
Yeah.
are these days, who are
Yeah.
over 50.
Absolutely. So if you could have a conversation with Lady Abike maybe 20, 30 years ago, what would you tell her? What
First,
advice would you give her?
I would say, girl, you are cute. Don't sweat it. You're cute. You're cute. I would I would definitely tell her to I would take more stock in
Yeah.
my parents. I didn't know. You never think that one day they're not going to be here.
Yes. Yeah.
But they're really
Yeah.
the foundation of all of our
Yeah.
experience, the
Yeah.
foundation, how we're going to live our lives. But I would have taken
Mm,
stock in them. They're not, neither of them are around, but I would have loved to have sat with them and asked them, like, what are your thoughts? What are your
yeah.
dreams? Just saying,
Yeah.
I'm right
Yeah.
about it. I
Yeah.
would ask,
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that because one of the things again, my mom passed just a couple of years ago, and I realized there was so much I didn't know about her. And my son thought the exact same thing, and he bought me a book at Christmas. That was a journal that was tell me. It was literally about tell me about you, mom, and it's got lots of prompts, journaling prompts. That's made me think about how as I've aged, so that will help him get to know me more. So like you said, if you're listening and you still have your parents available, take some time just to get to know a little bit more about them and things you'd be surprised at some of the answers, to be honest, because they definitely lived a life before we came along.
that's and especially our parents were, my parents in particular, were my mom. My dad is Nigerian, but my mom, when she met her second husband, so the man that raised me, when she met him,
Yeah.
they met in college, and they were right in the middle of cross burning. So they had crosses burned on the college, and she lived
Yeah.
in the same community as Mega Everest, but it never occurred to me to grab that information.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. 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 Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. So lady, how do you think your life experiences have shaped the way you approach this stage of life
Mm.
or career?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and I teach this to the women in my network. Approach your career the way you approach your personal life, because they both are to serve you. But
Yeah.
if you do them well, you'll be able to serve mankind with both your career and your life. But
Okay.
I approach them the same way I treat people in business, the way I treat my family, the way I would want someone to treat me.
Yeah.
I I work ethically, and I believe in being a good, strong person in business, but also having character and good morale,
Yeah.
because and in my personal life. So if you live them both the same, you don't have to go to work and switch off one, and you don't have to come home and switch one. You can be
Yeah.
the same person all around. And
That's
I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 'cause sometimes we do have the different facades depending what space we're navigating and who we think we need to be as
Yeah.
opposed to who we are. And that's a huge difference. And I think that for me, when we've talked earlier about, not giving, not caring, that for me is the most liberating thing of being very accepting of who I am at this stage of life and making no apologies for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really beautiful stage. So we're coming down to our last few questions, lady. So, what myth about aging or midlife have you busted for yourself?
Well, I remember most of my aunts and my mom in particular, they would say, you grow the mustache, the boobs get a little heavier and the waistline gets a little thicker. That's true, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's
Yeah,
hard to fight, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I've been just in my own life, just trying to get my health in order and get myself together, because we're like machines, if we maintain them, they
yeah,
longer. So
yeah, yeah,
the myth
yeah,
is that we have to, because we don't. We don't have to let our bodies go down and say, I'm getting old. I don't, have to dress up anymore. I don't have to pull out all of my earrings or wear the dress or the jewelry. You have to do that because it's a part of your living.
yeah, yeah. But conversely, I also think that yes, we have some control of stuff like that, but things like I'm not going out of I stopped dyeing my hair a few years ago because I'm thinking, one, it was just a pain, it was just painful, keep having to do it. And secondly, I got to the point where, well, who am I doing this for? Because who am I trying to fool? Because I'm a woman who has loads of wisdom, and this wisdom didn't come without a few grey hairs. I didn't get a few years. I didn't get to this stage and this level of wisdom for you not to think that I wouldn't have a few grey hairs. So who am I trying to fool? So yeah, so I'm not going to hide who I am to
Yes,
make you comfortable.
yes. And that's the thing, Janice, that was really catching me up when I began to get back out there after my time off from my brain injury.
Yeah,
I would go into places and they would look me up and down to measure who I am. And
yeah,
yet there's more gray hair.
yeah,
I went through I still do dye my hair because I just happen to like the way I look with black hair, but it's not to prove anything to anyone. But you're
yeah,
absolutely right. We are judged. And, unfortunately, when people read us, they don't read that as wisdom. They read
yes,
you're an old model
old,
or
yeah,
something to put away.
yeah,
You're not new, you're
yeah,
not shiny anymore. You're a little
yeah,
gray on the top, but it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
world.
And that's why we have these conversations to let people know we're loud, proud, and we're still alive. Thank you very much. So, lady, tell me a little bit about your hoodie, the 100 Women
Yes.
Strong Movement. Tell me about that.
This is our nonprofit. And so the 100 Women Strong Movement, we've been running this. This is the daughter to our parent company, the FPI Network. We have been running this nonprofit for at least 8 years. And every year we help women get acclimated in business. We teach them business savvy. And it doesn't matter where they are. Some of the women are, like myself, are finding that their lives have taken a pivot.
Yeah.
And like, my husband of 45 years left me, and my children are moved out. Like, what
Mm.
do we do? We are a full service network. So we try to take care of everything from A to Z. And
Wow.
Under this banner of the 100 Women Strong movement, I have committed all of the professionals in my network to every year we go out and get one or two women and help them come up from wherever they are.
Fabulous.
We help lift them up. And at the end of the year, if we don't have 100, I say, listen, next year you have to go get 4 persons because go.
As I say, each one teach one.
Yeah.
And just keep supporting.
Yeah.
So, last interviewish question. What's one book, podcast, or resource that changed your perspective on life after 50?
I wish that I could say it was a podcast or a book that you would be, well, you're probably familiar, and this is just me. The only thing that has truly helped me solidify who I am, that there's still value in me in this body, was the Bible. I had to go to the Word of God, to go back to the beginning, to see that just as He made me fearfully, I'm wonderfully created and crafted by the hand of God. And I had to read that over and over and over again and get it in my mind when people were behind my back calling me the N word, or, saying that I'm old and I'm washed up. I had to come back to that, repeat it over and over, to be reminded of who I am and what I'm capable of.
Yeah. Beautiful. So what next?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I'm going to ask one of the directors in my network to reach out to you, because we have to get you in our magazine. We have a magazine. We have close to 700 subscribers. But what's next is giving the magazine is to design to do just what you're doing here, to enlighten others about the lives of the people in our communities, the unsung heroes, So what's next is to get this magazine published. Right now we're quarterly, and we're just an e-magazine. But since we have everyone raving, I need to have this printed. I want to show my cousin this article. So what's next is getting this magazine onto newsstands.
Fabulous. I wish you well with that. That's a big undertaking.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's a big undertaking. So, Lady Farley, it's been lovely talking to you this afternoon. If persons want to know more about what you do, connect with you, just reach out to you, how can they do that?
They can go to our website, fpinetwork.com, or they can find me on Instagram, social media. So FPI Network LLC. They can message me. I respond to all of my messages all the time. It may take a day or two, but I respond to everyone.
Fabulous. So that was my last question. Thank you so much for being my guest today on This Woman Can.
Thank you so much for having me. I support what you do, and I'm going to be holding you to the light, because I know that what you're doing is going to change the way we look at women, period. Not just Black women, but women of a certain age. So I commend you for that. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wasn't that a powerful conversation? Lady Abike reminds us that resilience isn't about going it alone. It really is about leaning into community, owning your story, and redefining success on your own terms. I think we need to do that all the time. And if her journey inspired you as much as it did me, make sure to connect with Lady Farley and learn more about her work with the 100 Strong Women movement. And of course, don't forget, you can always come back here for more conversations that celebrate the brilliance of women over 50 who are living, leading, and redefining their second act. And hey, if you're ready to step into your own fearless future, don't forget to check out my self-paced program, 50 Forward Fearless Future, by visiting my website, janicesutherland.com. It's designed to help you navigate midlife transitions with clarity, courage, and a dash of humor. You'll find the link in the show notes, or as I said, visit my website. So as always, remember, until next time, if I can, you can, this woman can, and so can you. Take care. Thanks for listening. If you got something from this week's episode, please let me know. Better yet, share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone you know who can benefit from this message. Don't forget to subscribe or write a review, and connect with me at my website, janicesutherland.com, where you can also subscribe to the This Woman Can newsletter or connect with me on LinkedIn. Remember, you have the wisdom, resilience, authenticity, and power to create a life on your terms. And if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time.